Philadelphia has it.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to DSM pregame live streaming to you only on DSM Media's YouTube channel. I am one half of your host here, Dylan Davis. You can find me on Twitter at DylanJD98. To my right, my co-host Scotty. You can find him on Twitter as well at Scotty Drown. And you can find all of our great content over on Twitter at DSM_media. The link tree in our bio will take you to every social media platform we are available on. Eagles, Giants, divisional round preview. Scotty, how are you feeling this Saturday morning?
I am feeling great. I'm feeling anxious, but I'm feeling great. I'm ready to get some Eagles playoff football going here tonight. I'm ready to get some drinks going too. That's why we got to get this recorded and done. So we can get our day started.
So I did talk to Phil here on DSM about this yesterday on Trending, and he was in agreement that it would not have been in our best interest to host the DSM pregame live on normal scheduled time around 6:30 or 7 p.m. tonight. Probably would not have gone too well. So, guys, if you're commenting along with the show, we appreciate it. But if you notice that your comments aren't being brought up on the screen, we are pre-recording this, so we do not use any foul language, do not look like we're cross-eyed, whatever the case may be. Things might get a little weird in a couple of hours. It's probably already getting weird down at the link as Eagles fans have found a way to hack tailgating, Scotty. So if you don't know, the lots for Eagles tailgates don't open for a few more hours. However, there is a Wings lacrosse game at the Wells Fargo Center. I believe it's at noon or 1 p.m. today, and those lots opened at like 8 or 8:30 a.m. Eagles fans bought tickets to the Wings game just for access to the parking lots because they're cheaper seats, and they're down there tailgating already and not going into the Wells Fargo Center for the Wings game. So be careful, and it's another reason why Xfinity has probably made a huge mistake inviting Giants Nation down for their pregame tailgate. But anyway, man,
how dare they steal those seats from loyal Wings fans?
Yeah, I know.
Come on.
Well, that's the thing. It was supposed to be a packed house. It was supposed to be sold out, and now it's not, But on this pregame show, we're going to give a quick overview of this matchup because, quite frankly, I can't wait for this game to get here and then to pass by very quickly because I'm tired of hearing about this New York Giants team. I'm tired of hearing about Daniel Jones. I'm tired of hearing about how they're hot, this and that. We're going to get into all that to start. Then we're going to give our keys to victory for the Philadelphia Eagles to come away with a win. We're going to give our X factors on offense and defense, and then we're going to give our best bets and predictions to wrap up this show. So, my man, let me just start here. I don't know about you, but I've tweeted a few things out throughout this week, and it probably shouldn't bother me this much. It really shouldn't because it's not like well-respected people, people I respect their sports knowledge and opinion on that are really questioning this Eagles team, that are putting them on upset alert. But being on social media, whether it be Twitter, whether it be TikTok and listening to other podcasts, whether it be some analysts on major media platforms, talk about this Giants team like they are somehow this smoking hot team, a team of destiny that is about to run into Lincoln Financial Field and upset the 1-seed Eagles and Jalen Hurts and advance to the NFC Championship. Daniel Jones is all of a sudden their franchise guy after they wanted him out 4 weeks ago. I got a newsflash for you, people. The New York Football Giants are 3-6-1 since week 8 before beating the Minnesota Vikings in the wild card round. If that's hot, if that's a team on a winning streak, I don't know what you would call the Cincinnati Bengals or the Buffalo Bills or hell, the Jacksonville Jaguars that Scotty and I just broke down and talked about. They are not hot. They are not a team of destiny. Stop comparing them to the 2007 New York Giants. And lastly, stop talking about Daniel freaking Jones like he's about to make some Eli Manning-esque run. I get it. He beat up on the Minnesota Vikings defense, not once, but twice. He was spectacular last week in the wild card round. I came on here and gave him his flowers with Scotty. 69% completion percentage, over 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, didn't turn the ball over. You know what he did to them on Christmas Eve, Scotty? 71% completion percentage, 334, 1 touchdown, almost with a comeback. Daniel Jones has 3 games this season over 230 passing yards, 2 against the Vikings and 1 against the Detroit Lions back in November. Daniel Jones threw 15 passing touchdowns this season. Listen, Daniel Jones is greatly improved, and Brian Daboll has him and this team overachieving and playing at an elevated level, and he is a great, great head coach. Daniel Jones is now a serviceable quarterback. He's an okay, maybe somewhat good quarterback. But to somehow, some way, come away with that Vikings win last week and say that this team is hot, that he is now guaranteed himself a future in New York, I can't take it anymore. And I need the Eagles to come in and just stomp this New York Giants team tonight, Scotty.
Yeah, I feel you. And on the Eli Manning comparison thing, I mean, you're just discrediting what Eli Manning did at that point. Like, that can't just be done. You know what I mean? Like, that's like us saying, oh, well, if Gardner Minshew comes out here, we won the Super Bowl with Nick Foles, so we can win it with Gardner Minshew. Like, that's not how it works, right? You can't just compare these like once in a lifetime type of situations like they're nothing. So it's a little weird in that standpoint. What I'll start by saying is that, first of all, the Giants, right? Great season, Giants fans. Great season.
Yes.
You guys have gotten a playoff win. That's incredible. It's better than what the Eagles did in Nick Sirianni's first year as head coach.
Yes.
Congratulations. But that doesn't mean you're going to come out and beat the 1 seed Eagles in Philadelphia. And then to take it even further, and I think it's not the Giants that I'm upset with. I think what the Giants have done is respectable. I think what Brian Daboll has done is respectable.
For sure.
It's the fans.
The noise.
You're gonna come into Philadelphia and take over the Link. When has that ever happened? It happened.
I think 2000. I think 2000.
It's not happened, man. So like it's those little things, and then like people saying Daniel Jones is better than Jalen Hurts.
Oh my God.
We're gonna find out. Was Daniel Jones an MVP candidate this year? No, he was not.
15.
And the final thing, just on this, little overview before we get into like keys, everything.
Oh, here. I got one more. I forgot something too. Go ahead.
Oh, fair enough. So I'll throw it to you after this. Looking at Jalen Hurts and this Eagles team, if Jalen Hurts didn't have of an injury, right? Because that's all this is right now. It's a hint. We don't know anything, right? Jalen Hurts said he's playing. He's off the injury report. Lane Johnson's off the injury report. Nick Sirianni said Jalen Hurts is a full go. But yet, if you listen to national media talk, it's speculation on Jalen Hurts' injury.
That's all it is.
If Jalen Hurts didn't have the injury, they would have nothing to make this game interesting. That's what it is. That's what this has turned into. We have to point out Jalen Hurts' injury from a month ago that should not really have an effect in this game. Let's be honest. He is a full go. But that's what we have to tie into this game in order to make it presented as like a marquee matchup, because the Giants are a 9-7-1 football team. 9-8-1, 9-7-1, whatever the hell that ridiculous record is. That's what they are, right? So like I don't know, Dylan. Why are we the ones that are picked as like the 1 seed that's gonna fail,
I like
right?
it.
Like
I like it.
It is what it is.
I like it.
And
it's funny because like the 1 win in their like the New York Giants had 1 win in the NFC East this year. They went 1-4-1 in the division this year.
I didn't even think about that, but that's a very good point.
My final point of this overview, this ridiculous sentiment, this ridiculous narrative that the Giants not only have a chance, but that they're going to put the Eagles on upset alert because they're hot and it's Danny Dimes time and it's this and that, or that this Eagles defense is similar to Minnesota's defense. Did you watch them at all this season? The last thing is this, Scotty. All they talk about is Week 18. All they talk about is that the Eagles barely beat our backups and our third stringers. It was 19-0 in the third quarter. It's 19. Yeah. You guys recovered. Whatever. You recovered on whatever the hell happened at the end of the game. I don't even remember at this point. You lost. It doesn't matter. The Eagles got the 1 seed. As if the 48-22 ass whooping on their home field didn't happen a few weeks ago. Did not happen without Dallas Goedert, Avonte Maddox, and C.J. Gardner-Johnson. 2 of which are playing this week, with everyone else fully healthy outside of Avonte Maddox.
Yep.
So the Eagles walked into your crib a few weeks ago during this 3-6-1 hot streak that you guys are on, apparently, and had Gardner Minshew playing in the fourth quarter. But you're hanging your hat on the fact that we barely beat your third stringers in week 18 because we were just it was a walkthrough. The Eagles were trying to get the 1 seed. That's enough of the overview. I don't have more time to spend on this ridiculous notion that this team has to win.
The funniest part is that everything they say about Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley and that Giants offense, it's like, okay, that's like a lesser version of the Eagles offense. It's like a little like C squad version of the Eagles offense. That's what the Giants are. They run the football. They run the read option with Daniel Jones. Jalen Hurts does it better. Like
you can point out things that the Giants do well. I'll point out more things that the Eagles do great.
Exactly. So much of the talk this week, Dylan, and this is why, and I know Blue City Empire Sports, if you're watching, I know you said earlier on Turf Talk about national media. All I've seen, and mind you, I don't watch it religiously. I don't watch it every day. I just catch it here and there, side glances. All I have heard about is what is going on with Jalen Hurts' injury.
Right.
It hasn't been about how Eagles defense has broken records of sacks. It hasn't been about
turnovers,
Eagles defense having the best pass defense in the NFL. It hasn't been about any of that, right? It hasn't been about the Eagles offense and A.J. Brown going over 1,000, Devontae Smith, Miles Sanders going over 1,000, Jalen Hurts breaking a record of 35 touchdowns, franchise record for the Eagles. None of that's talked about. It's all about Jalen Hurts' injury and what the Eagles can't do. What happened in those 3 losses to the Eagles? Why do we point to the 3 losses versus the 14 wins? That's what's ridiculous about this whole conversation. But here we are. We're here to break down the game.
And to Blue City Sport, to his point, he said that they all picked the Eagles to beat the Giants, and that's fine. They all should be picking the Eagles to beat the Giants.
Absolutely.
But that's not what was talked about all week. Like there should be real no question marks. That's my point. Peter Strager, who I love listening to Good Morning Football. He's on Good Morning Football with an Isaiah Hodgins jersey on, talking about this dude was cut. He stinks. Stop that Daniel Jones found him over the middle a couple of times against the Minnesota freaking Vikings.
Travis Fulgham 2.0. Right?
Stop, man. All right. I don't got any more time for this. Let's get down to
It's just funny because national media, you're right. They have said all this stuff all week.
But then they'll still pick the Eagles.
Yeah, it's weird energy. But
that's fine. Keys to victory, man. It's very simple. I don't think that this game is going to be all that close, Scotty. I'm sorry. I really don't. And hell, I think it'll be even funnier when the Giants get the ball first, have a perfectly scripted first drive. They might go up 7-0 to start the game. And here you go. Oh, here come the whispers. And here comes the Danny Dimes believers. And then they're going to get routed. They're going to get absolutely. It's NFC Championship versus the Vikings-esque today, I feel. Maybe I'm being overly confident. I don't know. I think Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni and Shane Steichen open up this full playbook tonight. I will tell you 2 of my keys to victory, and it's very simple. They both have to do with the Eagles not kicking themselves in their own ass. The Eagles will not lose this game if they don't do that. A is time of possession. In the 3 losses and in the Chicago and Indianapolis game where they squeaked them out at the end, what is the one common denominator, Scotty? Time of possession. The Eagles have been on the wrong side of that time of possession in every game that they've lost, or that has been close down to the wire. And it feels like when they get behind the 8 ball like that, like go back to the Saints. I know that was Gardner Minshew, but the Saints game, like it just feels when they have a long drive to start, the offense doesn't get into a rhythm. There's no rhythm and execution play calling wise from Nick. He's just trying to chase points. He's just trying to force the ball down the field and catch back up real quick instead of being his, that diabolical offense that can run it down your throat between the 20s, right? So to me, time of possession is huge because it allows the Eagles to run up the score a bit. Secondly, discipline. And what do I mean? Go back to the Washington game. Go back to the what game was it? Was it the Chicago game or the Giants game. All the false start penalties, or the Saints, whenever the hell it
That was the
was.
Saints game. Yeah.
All the false start
Saints
penalties,
game
the
was
ineligible men downfield with the offensive line, the holding calls, whether right or wrong, the turnovers off of AJ Brown's arm, and Quez Watkins getting up and fumbling. As long as you don't do any of that, as long as you don't kick yourself in the ass, the Eagles will win this game handily today. The only way this lesser talented Giants team can hang with them is if you allow them to hang around with penalties and turnovers and not getting off the field on third downs for time of possession. Those are my two main keys to victory today.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good point. And you talk about the Eagles kicking themselves in the foot, kicking themselves in the ass, right? But I would take it even a step further and say you can't do that type of stuff 4 times in a game, right?
Right,
like
right.
You can have one turnover.
Sure.
Like, that's not going to lose
sure.
you. It can lose you the game. It can.
Sure.
But
it won't.
It's not necessarily going to guarantee
I'm talking the 4 turnovers.
4 turnovers, yeah. That will guarantee you a loss for sure. And to your point, I agree. My first 2 keys to victory here kind of fall in line with what you were talking about there, but so the first one I mentioned, contain Daniel Jones. That has to do with discipline as well. Those edge rushers remaining disciplined on their containments, not letting Daniel Jones get outside of the pocket. I think that's the most important thing today, is not letting Daniel Jones get loose. We talked about that with Himbo on Friday. Saquon will kind of feed off Daniel Jones. If Daniel Jones is able to get out of the pocket, now you have to worry about Saquon too, because you have to give some extra attention to Daniel Jones. If everybody does their job on the edges and keeps Daniel Jones in that pocket, we're going to end up with another day like that 7-sack day that we saw on December 11th. So containing Daniel Jones, don't let him run. Don't let him get the easy ones, right? Don't make his life easy. You got to make sure you contain Daniel Jones. And then on the other side, run the football. That goes along with time of possession, like you were talking about as well. Let Hurts and Miles Sanders loose. If you want to throw some Boston Scott in there, some Kenneth Gainwell, I'm with it. I don't care. I just want to make sure that we're running the football from the start of the game. We don't need to come out and throw a 70-yard bomb to AJ. We can do that. If it's open, if it's there, you do that. But
I don't want to be texting
about
you.
The run, man.
I don't want to be texting you at the end of the first quarter. What the F is he doing? Run the ball, Nick.
Only have 1 carry. Oh, in the first half. Like, it doesn't need to be any of that today. Well, but on that other side, it's also just letting Hurts loose today. If he is a full go, then let him be a full go today. Let him loose on this Giants defense that has struggled against the run. They're 27th against the run on the season. They're 31st in yards per carry on the run. So signs point to running the football. They did it in that December 11 matchup. Miles Sanders went over 140 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns. Hurts went over 70 rushing yards, a touchdown. So gotta focus in on the run, right?
You could argue that key and discipline go hand in hand, and it's discipline with the play calling. That's what it comes down to. Like I said, like, listen, there's times where we might jump the gun in the first quarter and be like, what the hell is Nick and Shane doing? And then they flip a switch, right? But there's also times, that Chicago game, the game Jalen got injured,
it lingers,
where you're just throwing the ball down the field for no reason against the 28th ranked run defense in the league, and you're not giving the ball to Sanders for 3 quarters. That cannot happen. That is another way you allow this Giants team to stick around, man. They do have Adoree Jackson back this year. I believe Xavier McKinney's back, or this week. Xavier McKinney's back this week. Not that's I don't mean that to say that's scary, but it helps them in their pass defense. So attack their front, attack their run. I'm also going to look defensively, man. I want to ask you a couple. You brought up containing Daniel Jones, and it makes the most sense. Saquon can have a little bit of a game, but I agree to Hembo's point. Saquon Barkley is not going to be the reason you lose this game, right? Losing containment on Daniel Jones, allowing him to make plays. I'm looking at Jonathan Gannon, and I'm saying, okay, I'm going to trust my front 4. Maybe I'll throw an extra blitzer here and there, but I'm going to trust the front 4 to win this battle because they've done it all year long. They have 4 guys with 10+ sacks. They have as Hembo pointed out, the defensive line for the Eagles has the best win rate percentage of the entire NFL. Right. So I'm going to trust them to get pressure. And then you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do something a little differently. I don't expect them to do it because we know that zone that he likes to run a little bit. I'm going to play press man on the outside, and I'm going to clog the middle of the field. And I'm going to make Daniel Jones make those long, tight window throws out towards the boundaries. Because where do they like to run their offense, Scotty? Over the middle
Yeah.
of the field, the crossers, the slants. And we can have issues here and there with that. Clog the middle of the field with your safeties and backers. Press man on the outside. I'll trust Darius Slay and James Bradbury in this one against Isaiah Hodgins and Darius Slayton and those guys.
Yeah.
Not that Darius Slayton's not a good player, but come on. And make him make those tight window throws towards the sidelines, those longer, tougher throws, those tougher completions. That's what I'm doing today if I'm Jonathan Gannon. Do I think he does a lot of that? Probably not. But at the end of the day, I don't really think that'll matter. I don't think that Daniel Jones is going to tear up this Eagles defense.
Do you assign a spy to Daniel Jones? Kaiser White, maybe?
It's so tough because the initial answer is to say yes. It makes the most sense. But that's so to me, it's more on the edge or on the backers or the edge rushers to have proper containment on the outside, not to get too deep or go too wide when you're coming, because having Kaiser White spy him, let's say he's playing middle linebacker over him, he's not going to be quick enough to pick up Daniel Jones on the left side going towards the boundary. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
unless he's
it's more of like
sitting in the
more
middle
containment on the edges, on the wraparound, or the backers on the sides. You know what I mean?
And maybe, looking at it from that standpoint, because when I'm thinking of the defense, I want everybody, not everybody, but you want to have guys to have their eyes on Daniel Jones. It sucks that you have to have your eyes in the backfield, but you need to keep your eyes on Daniel Jones, because as soon as you turn downfield to follow that receiver, he's running. So, maybe the zone that Jonathan Gannon runs, maybe that is better in this type of game, where you have guys in their zone, they're not going man-to-man running with their man. They're in their zone covering their area, right?
That's where you don't get beat.
Maybe that's a benefit.
That's like on a 3rd and 7. You're not going to get beat from Daniel Jones' legs. I'm not saying he's not going to pick one up. What I'm saying is in man coverage, to your point, your backs are turned towards the backfield. You know what I mean? So that zone can help. And I know that's what they picked apart against Minnesota. The talent level for the Eagles defense is not on the same level as the Minnesota Vikings. So you're not going to have all those holes. You have C.J. Gardner-Johnson back. You have James Bradbury and Darius Slay and all these guys. So please stop with that analogy, Dan Orlovsky. I love his breakdowns. I love his not football head and his football mind. That breakdown was pretty ridiculous.
And look, the main thing with this Giants offense versus the Eagles defense is that a lot of this stuff isn't going to matter, because the Eagles pass rush will get there. That's the biggest thing in all of this. When the Eagles went against the Giants starters, they got 7 sacks. When they went full steam ahead.
You wouldn't know that, though, because we barely beat the backups.
You wouldn't know that, right? It is crazy, man. And my final key to victory here, I know we want to get to predictions here soon, best bets. I also wrote down the turnover battle as well. That's kind of an obvious one. You already pointed that out. So I won't do that again. Sirianni can't be outcoached by DeBolt today, right? Jonathan Gannon can't be outcoached by DeBolt today.
2 head coach of the year candidates.
That's a rookie head coach, right? That guy can't outcoach you today. And that's to your point earlier, remaining disciplined within the play calling. So those are the key things that I'm looking at today. But we're on the same page here. It's all how do you lose a game? How do you get upset as a 1 seed? Everything that we've talked about is how you do that so you don't do that stuff, right? Turning the ball over, lack of discipline.
Not running the football.
Not running the football, right? So those are the things that will lose you a playoff game. Just don't do that.
And that's the crazy thing. If one of those things happen, they're not going to lose the game. The Giants are going to win this game if a combination of these things happen. If they win time of possession by a great margin, and they're able to run the ball, and they have 2 turnovers to our 0, and they scored 14 off of those or 10 off of those turnovers. That's how they'll win the game. Absolutely. Not just by, having 1 turnover to our 0 or 2, you know what I mean? So with that being said, let's get into our X factors on offense and defense, man. I'll throw it to you first. On defense, who do you think steps up today for the Eagles?
I'm going to get interesting here. I think it's the defensive line in general. I'm just going to go with the entire defensive line, because I think all of them are going to be hungry today, ready to get after the quarterback. I like what Darius said in our Turf Talk chat. So he was in the comments. I know this isn't live, but in our previous show, he said about Webb basically not allowing us to get to that sack record. I think our guys come out because you saw Webb in that final week. He was
Yeah.
just throwing balls into the ground not to take a sack. Like he
Right.
didn't want us to get that record on them. I think these guys come out hungry today. I think that's where you control everything, right? We talked about containment from the edges. We talked about getting to the quarterback. We talked about Saquon Barkley in the run game. It starts with that defensive line and also that front seven as a whole. What are they going to do today? But I'm going to go with the whole defensive line as my X factor. That has been the best part of our defense all year, and that's what I love the most about it. So let's get it.
I love it. Hassan Reddick, Josh Sweat's back. Who the hell knows? Maybe Robert Quinn has a sack today.
Robert Quinn is in there. He was looking active that final week.
But just to be a little bit different, I'm going to say that Daniel Jones throws his 6th interception of the season today. And whether that's under pressure, a batted arm, or whatever. And I'm going to pick one guy in particular. Just why not? For some reason, after the Pro Bowl season that this man has had, after the unreal season he's had, over the last couple of weeks, there's been a lot of talk on Darius Slay. A lot of question marks. He's the reason they gave up the 3rd and 30, and he called this player out, and he's playing soft, and blah, blah, blah. Big play Slay's making a big play today. Whether he's getting a hand on a ball and deflecting it for someone else, or he's not allowing Darius Slay to go one-on-one with him, or he's picking off Daniel Jones, Darius Slay is going to have a day today. I just feel it, man. His first playoff game at the Link, it's going to be a little bit different. His wife's going to be down there tailgating with
the banana pudding,
John, with the banana pudding. Like it's all in the stars for Big Play Slay to make a big play today. So
hey, I like the pick. I like the pick, man. And I think this is a good point, to talk about Darius Slay just a little bit, because this dude, since he's came here, it's such a steal to get him in the first place from the Detroit Lions for what we traded for him, man. And he's came in, he's became a leader of the defense in his own little goofy way, and he makes the game a little bit more fun. He makes it fun for fans, right? His attitude, the way he talks, like everything about Slay is fun, right? He's just a goofy, fun dude, but he's about his business, and I think that's the best part. And what a blessing it is to have a nice lockdown corner.
Yep.
But I don't know if you read his Players Tribune piece.
I didn't read it, but I've seen the clips that people have put out on Twitter from it.
Bro, it honestly gave me chills.
Really?
Because he loves the city, he loves the fans. He loves this team. That's the biggest thing. He talked a lot about Sirianni, his relationship with the coach, which he did not have in Detroit. It was a really heartfelt, great piece, and it lets me know he is locked the hell in for this game. It also lets me know he plans on retiring here. That's his goal. He wants to play in Philly for the rest of his career. But aside from that, I love that pick, because you're right. Big play Slay. It's time to make a big play. There have been people calling him out. The last few weeks were rough. You have your safety back, right? You have CGJ out there, so you feel a little bit more comfortable with your protection behind you. I think all of that plays a factor today, and I really love that pick. But just a nice kudos to Darius Slay.
Yeah.
I'll
have to give it a full read, but I did see some pieces from it on social media that were pretty cool. But to the point of the pick and him getting a pick, forcing Daniel Jones to make those tough out towards the boundary throws is where he might take one the other way. Maybe the Giants are on their own 35 and he forces an 8-yard out route and here's Slay to jump it, right? Those situations, it's when he's at his best, man. You sit him back and listen, I know he's thrived in this system all year. He's a Pro Bowler, right? He's been great. But like to watch him do what he did to Justin Jefferson, but then to watch Gannon put him in a situation where he's going to sit 8 yards off the line of scrimmage and just run up and make a tackle. That's not big play Slay. Like allow him to try to lock down the number one. And that today would be Darius Slayton for the New York Giants. He doesn't have to travel with them. He doesn't have to follow him, but allow him to play a little bit press. Even if you play man up on one side, on his side, that's good enough for me. And then if they had to force it to Bradbury, who was like the 3rd fewest thrown at CB this year, so be it. Throw at him then. But anyway, moving on to the offensive side, give me an X factor offensively. Obviously, all eyes point to a healthy Jalen Hurts. What can he do with his legs, his arm, etc.? But I don't know if either of us are going to go that route. Who are you looking at today to step up for the Eagles?
Hey, I'm gonna kind of stay on the same wavelength here, Dylan, and I'm gonna go with the offensive line. I think that's
one in the trenches, baby.
Hey, it's the trenches, and that's exactly what I have written down here. Control the trenches, you'll win this game. We have the better offensive line. Obviously, the New York Giants pass rush, Kayvon Thibodeau, Dexter Lawrence. We talked a lot about him on Friday. they have a nice defensive line. They have a good pass rush. We have to be cognizant of that. And ultimately, this OL has to take care of Jalen Hurts, right? They talked a lot this week about a bounty being on Jalen Hurts' shoulder. Jordan Mailata took that personally. Obviously, Lane Johnson's off the injury report. He said he's ready to go. Jason Kelsey's probably going to have the biggest responsibility of the offensive line with Dexter Lawrence, and we know what he's capable of. So I'm going to go with the offensive line. This game's going to be won in the trenches. But that doesn't go to say that, guys like Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, all of these guys aren't going to make plays. I'm not saying that, but it starts with that protection in front of Jalen Hurts.
No, man, I love it. And my pick's about to be funny because I love your pick, and it starts with the trenches. Why? Because not only do we have to protect Jalen Hurts' shoulder, we want to be able to establish the run early and often and run it down their throat. So the offensive line would make all the sense in the world. Miles Sanders would make all the sense in the world.
Yep.
I'm going with A.J. Brown. Dude was brought here for a reason. The dude is essentially his best friend, the quarterback's safety blanket. The dude, even when we had a vanilla playbook, was able to break off big runs on slants against this Giants team in week 18. And I look at him and I say, like, go be that game wrecker today. Go be that game changer today. And the Giants are going to bring pressure. Get the ball out quick. If you got to dial up a quick hitter, a quick slant, a quick out route to A.J. Brown, so be it. And then guess what, Scotty? Guess what? When the pressure doesn't start to hit home at first, guess what's going to open up? Farther down the field, the middle of the field. And that's where he's going to thrive. So I expect a big play out of A.J. Brown today, whether it's one of those crazy acrobatic touchdowns, taking the ball away from someone in the end zone, whether it's catching a slant and taking it for 55, A.J. Brown will have himself a day today. With that being said, let's see who else has themselves a day today with our best bets. Now, I know I probably just said A.J. Brown might score, so he's not a bad play, but the New York Giants are the worst defense against opposing tight ends. Obviously, we saw what T.J. Hockenson was able to do against them last week in the postseason. Mark Andrews, the week that they matched up, Mark Andrews had his best game of his season. So Dallas Goedert, anytime touchdown today. I think he finds the end zone. Jalen's going to throw one or two today, I believe. So Dallas Goedert, anytime touchdown at plus 190. Or did we get that higher on FanDuel?
It is higher on FanDuel. It's at plus 210.
Plus 210 for a Goddard anytime tutty on
I think
FanDuel.
Goddard could get it's one of those things, if you watched that game against Minnesota last week and you saw T.J. Hockenson, you look at Goddard, he's obviously has a greater ability after the catch. He could take a long one to the house for all we know, right? And obviously he's a big option in the red zone, I should say, as well. So, yeah, I love that pick.
Moving forward, A.J. Brown over 70.5 receiving yards for all the reasons I just laid out. I believe that's minus 130 on DraftKings. So probably our least juiced bet of the day, but maybe my most guaranteed bet of the day. I feel really good about this one. I think his yards are 2 yards higher on FanDuel, so if you want to knock him down a bit to over 70.5, it is on DraftKings at that number. I think he gets the ball a lot. His receptions were plus money at over 5.5. I was leaning that way because I do think he is the safety blanket today, but also, what if he goes for 4 for 82 and a touchdown, 5 or whatever. So I stayed away from the 6+ receptions, but that's also not a bad play. Next, a little bit of a fun one. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Any worries with what they did to Justin Jefferson last week as to him being able? Obviously, you have Smitty, you have all these other weapons outside of A.J. Brown.
Absolutely not. And I say that because that Minnesota Vikings offense, while it's dynamic and they can put up points and they have Jefferson and Cook and Hockenson and all those guys, there's levels to it, as you like to say, my man. And there's so many other options you have to worry about with this Eagles team. The rushing attack, first and foremost. The Vikings didn't even try to get Dalvin Cook implemented in this one possession game. I don't know why they did that. So the Eagles are going to have the run game. Devontae Smith, greater than Adam Thielen. Dallas Goedert, even though Hockenson had a day, greater than T.J. Hockenson. So you got to worry about so much else to where I don't think you can put that deep bracket on A.J. And not to mention, A.J. doesn't – what's the deep bracket going to do? We're not looking for – not that he can't get down the field, but we'll pick you apart underneath.
He'll hit you with slants,
And then guess what? Have fun bringing him down every time.
Yeah.
Because it's going to take 2 guys to do so most times. So I don't really worry for that part. A little fun prop. Actually, I think this is the first time we've done a defensive prop all year long on Eagles pregame live. Hassan Reddick, 1+ sack. You mentioned the defensive front. You mentioned that sack record and Davis Webb not allowing us to get there last week by throwing the ball on the ground. You mentioned the 7 sacks we had against Daniel Jones back in week 13 or 14. Hassan Reddick, the sack leader for this Eagles team, absolute game changer, absolute game wrecker. He gets a sack, if not more, today against Danny Dimes and this Giants offense. That, I believe, was -110, Scotty?
-110, and it's actually, it says, so it's over 0.75. That's
right,
funny.
so it can't be
not just say one sack?
Yeah, because
why not just say 1+ sack?
Yeah,
I don't
exactly. Because it can't be half a sack. That's why they do that. And then
That's
obviously
funny.
You see the asterisk around it. The Giant Killer. If you want to have some fun, I believe it's +320 on FanDuel, +300 on DraftKings. Yeah. Boston Scott, anytime touchdown today. Whether Sirianni wants to pander a bit, whether the Eagles are up by 16 in the fourth quarter and they allow Scott to get some touches, Boston Scott will find his way in the end zone, we hope. That's a little extra best bet today.
Absolutely. I love the pick. And like you said, it's something we talked about all season. Sirianni loves to play into narratives. That's a narrative, right? So if he gets the opportunity, I don't doubt that he'll give it to Boston Scott.
Absolutely.
I was looking at the sack odds, man. Another one that I do like, not Hassan Reddick is the best bet. Brandon Graham at +175. I mean, they all look good, right? Hargrave at +185. I mean, they all look good. But yeah, Hassan Reddick is that safe best bet, I would say.
I wonder if you parlayed like Hargrave and BG together. Probably be like over +300, +400 something, but
I'll check for you.
Yeah. But with that being said, man, let's get to the end of the show. Let's wrap this up with predictions. If you guys have been following along this entire show, I think you know where we're about to go with this one. The line's at 7.5. I like the Eagles to cover. I don't know. I'm never normally this confident. I'm really not. And, one more point. I brought this up to Phil on trending yesterday. How crazy is it how far this team and we have come in a year's time? If you go back to last year's playoff wildcard matchup against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you and I did a pregame show, and we had other people come on and talk and give their thoughts. And it was more of this hopeful, we're happy to just be in the playoffs party type of pregame. No real business. Just, can they possibly do it? That was a year ago. And now here we are as the 1 seed. The road to the Super Bowl runs through Philadelphia, and it's all business, and we're not losing. That's crazy to me that in a year's time we went from that.
Yeah.
I think the Eagles win this game easily. I think they get to Daniel Jones. I know he's fixed his turnover problem a bit. I know Brian Dable has them coached up very well at the moment. They play tough. They play hard. They play gritty. Talent matters. Talent matters at this stage, and it will dominate today in a big way. I'm going to go with Eagles 31, Giants. I'll give them 20. 31-20, Eagles win by 11.
I like it. Obviously, I'm going with an Eagles win here as well. It's like you said, the Eagles have the more talent, but just thinking about it from the Eagles standpoint, the way everything has been proposed this week as the Giants beating the Eagles, right? Upsetting the Eagles. It doesn't matter who won that game, who ended up playing the Eagles. They would have picked whoever to beat the Eagles this weekend. So throw that stuff out the window. It does not matter. The Eagles have heard this stuff. The reason that I'm so confident in this Eagles team is because they were able to lock up that 1 seed. They were able to win 14 games this year, and they did it for a reason. They wanted that home field advantage. But then to take it even further, when you listen to the way these guys talk, the way they think, they're on a different plane, right? They're on a different mission. Jalen Hurts came out, and that hype video, right? Or the speech he gave to the team, not the hype video.
Did you see that shit?
Yeah, it gives me chills, man, because it's so true. It's how the fans feel.
Yep.
So if we feel that way, imagine how these players feel, how hungry they really are. They're starving, right?
And for those that don't know what we're talking about, he addressed the team and said, man, Coach Stout always says hungry dogs run faster. I ain't hungry. I'm starving for this.
Yeah. And we know this, man. He's been saying this stuff all season. We know how Jalen Hurts operates. I think that people have forgotten. I think this last month, it's made people forget what the Eagles are and what they do.
It's time to remind everybody.
Capacity. It's time to remind everybody, I have a 34-17 win today. I think the Eagles control this game, like you said. Double digits. That's all I'm really looking at here. Cover that spread, shut those Giants fans up. But then to the Giants, I'll say this. To the Giants team, to Brian DeBoll, great season, man. Like, you guys had a great season. I'm not trying to sit here and shit on the Giants of what they have done this season. It's just when people step out of place. You have a chance in this game. I'm not saying that you have no chance. If the Eagles do 4 turnovers and get a bunch of penalties, you have a chance of winning this game. But understand your place in the NFC East right now, just as we did last season, right? We understood our place, getting into the playoffs and maybe beating Tampa Bay, but we weren't going to win this. We knew that.
Right.
Don't get unrealistic. Don't discredit your own legends like Eli Manning by saying that Daniel Jones can just come out and do that with this team, right? He doesn't have the defense that Eli Manning had. He didn't have the weapons that Eli Manning had. It's not comparable. So stop. The fans put themselves in a hole. The Giants, they're a solid team. They're building something really good there, but they're going down today, 34-17 in the Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia. You come into our city and you disrespect us. Xfinity Live, man.
Disrespectful.
Disrespect our city, man.
Disrespectful.
Get them up out of here because all they're doing is grabbing money from our city, and then you're going to disrespect us on top of it? Disrespect one of our leaders in Mighty E-Rock? Nah, man, that ain't cool. The Eagles are going to have a chip on their shoulder today. They're going to send the Giants back to New York for good. Back to New Jersey, excuse me.
Yes, sir. It's time to put the league and everyone else on notice again, because it literally has been over a month's time since this Eagles team has been at full health.
Exactly.
And I just think they're about to get hit with a buzzsaw tonight at 8:15.
It's got to be.
Scotty, that is going to wrap up this Eagles-Giants DSM pregame live. Thank you so much for everyone who's going to watch this in replay version. Again, if we didn't get to your comments, that is because we are not live, Scotty. It is DSM pre-recorded today. But go Eagles, and hopefully we will be recapping a very successful divisional round weekend on Monday on NFL Turf Talk here on DSM Media. For myself, for Scotty, for DSM, have a great rest of your day, and go Birds.
Go Birds.